about to say a few words, but I think I will bring on the next speaker, because when she done talk done. And that is because she is respected by all, in particular Rudal Monilal. She is a thorn in the flesh of the UNC. She is dynamic and an experienced servant of the party and the government. She represents the best of the PNM, the best of Trinidad and Tobago, and the best among women. Put your hands together here tonight in Pleasantville. The Lady Vice Chairman of the movement, the Member of Parliament for Aruka Maloney, the Minister of Planning and Development, the hard-hitting, the Honorable Camille Robinson Regis.
Esteemed political leader of the People's National Movement, the one and only Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley, Attorney General and Member of Parliament for San Fernando West, Minister of Tourism and Member of Parliament for San Fernando East, first citizen of the city of San Fernando, Junior Regrello, my cabinet and parliamentary colleagues, members of the executive of the People's National Movement, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going through interesting times in Trinidad and Tobago. But I want to remind you of some of the history of where we have taken you from to where you are today. Ladies and gentlemen, since independence, the citizens of our beloved country have demonstrated respect for the then newly formed independent commissions, the judiciary, and other arms of the government, including the parliament. We have had several elections and governments have changed, but the institutions remained independent. But no one expected the whole country to turn upside down with the advent of the so-called PP government. A change, ladies and gentlemen, that had resulted in mayhem, bloodshed, racism, disrespect, and total disregard for all institutions, total disregard for decency, and total disregard for morality. And I mean morality at all levels. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to jog your memory. Do you remember the situation where a retired Justice Ventor in 2015, over the disagreement with a release put out by the Integrity Commission, purporting to clear Kamla Persad-Bissessar in the Emailgate probe? The statement that they put out was then used by Kamla Persad-Bissessar in a press conference to suggest her innocence. Remember what Justice Ventor said? He said that statement was totally incorrect. I want to remind you about Nizam Mohammed, who was appointed chairman of the Police Service Commission. And despite strong concerns raised by the then PNM opposition regarding his political background, the UNC proceeded to appoint him. Mr. Mohammed subsequently went on to make remarks at a joint select committee with strong racial overtones and undertones. And this was viewed as bringing the Police Service Commission into disrepute. And he was subsequently fired from that position. I want to remind you about Section 34. And I don't even need to talk too much about that and the misuse of the Parliament. And ladies and gentlemen, the Parliament continued to be abused and misused, and the name honorable members seemed to be a name of the past for those who were in that PP government. We had to watch the spectacle of a speaker having to apologize for misleading the Parliament. You all remember that, Mark? We had to watch the spectacle of a prime minister moving a motion to expel an opposition leader from the Parliament, the first time in the history of parliaments in the Commonwealth. Do you all remember that? We had to endure the hurt and the disgust of an MP telling the nation that our political leader and his father were rapists. You all remember that? And now we are enduring an MP of over 18 years service disrespecting the Parliament and bringing the Parliament into odium and disrepute by not apologizing for something for which he has been found guilty. Too big to say, I am sorry. Too big to say, I apologize. Too big to say, sorry. Too big to say, I will not do it again. We have the example of a political leader and a prime minister who, when one of our constituencies innocently did a skit that appeared to offend several people, our prime minister apologized on behalf of that constituency. Ladies and gentlemen, we must never forget from where we have come. You remember the DPP wiretapping story? You remember the Solicitor General and Prison Gate? You remember that incident with James Filbert, who was acting Commissioner of Police when the UNC entered office, and after a stern warning and a threat to be fired by the then Attorney General Ram Logan, acting COP Filbert was unceremoniously fired just a month before his retirement date. Yes, that's exactly what they are. They're wicked. We have the spectacle of issues concerning freedom of information, where despite 15 pre-action protocol letters, the UNC government did not comply with giving information to our very own Heliconia group. We have the situation of the UNC not complying with instructions. The very Minister of Planning and Development then trying to build an entire complex on the Eddie Hart ground, which is an aquifer. The Minister of Planning and Development at the time. We had this spectacle of a UNC government appointing Reshmi Ramnarayan, of a UNC government getting rid of SIA, getting rid of SORT, getting rid of the OPVs. You all remember that? Ladies and gentlemen, whilst all of this was happening and they were disrespecting us, dismantling institutions, they were also teething black is white. And ladies and gentlemen, between 2010 and 2015, as Dr. Fazal Ali said, they developed a kleptocracy. And I'll give you his I'll quote what he says a kleptocracy is. A kleptocracy is a type of leadership where government officials use their authority to embezzle public funds for self-gain and to solidify their political prominence and live in opulence as they expand the grip of their dirty hands over power. It involves the routine looting and stashing of ill-gotten gains in financial capitals and in less scrupulous financial centers. Ladies and gentlemen, is that an apt description of what happened between 2010 and 2015? But today, Kamla Persad-Bissessar tells us, and I quote, that she is a wolf of compassion. She said that, ladies and gentlemen, not me. She called herself a she-wolf. And I did some research. The dictionary describes a she-wolf as a reactionary predator. And just like a wolf in the wild, it will destroy its prey and devour the prey should opportunity arise. That's the first time I think Kamla talked anything that was true. And ladies and gentlemen, they really devoured everything. The economy went low. Oil production went low. Foreign reserves went low. Grey goose went low. Ladies and gentlemen, as I talk about total destruction, I am here to remind you that they want nothing good for Trinidad and Tobago. And you also know that they think that anything that would make the PNM look good, they refuse to touch with a 10-foot pole, ignoring the fact that what is good for the PNM is good for the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Ladies and gentlemen, the laws we pass in the Parliament are not PNM laws. They are laws for the people of Trinidad and Tobago. The budgets we pass are not PNM budgets. They are the budgets for the people of Trinidad and Tobago. The boats that we buy for Tobago, for the Sea Bridge, are not PNM boats. They are boats for the people of Tobago and Trinidad. And we could say the same things for the roads, the bridges, the hospitals, the schools. They are not PNM roads or bridges or hospitals and schools. They are roads, bridges, hospitals, and schools for the people of Trinidad and Tobago. But ladies and gentlemen, we really do know, though, that it is the PNM that really built this country. So even though it is not for the PNM, it is by the PNM, because the PNM built Trinidad and Tobago, and that is what hottened them. Ladies and gentlemen, Kamla Persad-Bissessar and her ragtag band of merry men do not understand what patriotism is about. The potent words of our national anthem, demanding with boundless faith in our destiny, and we pledge our lives to thee, this country, ring hollow in their mouths. They will prefer to see anarchy reign than good sense prevail. I stand here to even suggest that they may even be rejoicing at every crime, at every murder, because her prediction of blood flowing through the streets, we have to wonder about that. But alas, when that blood flows, it is for another mother's son, another sister's brother, another child's father whose blood is running through the streets. It is for a citizen of Trinidad and Tobago. So, ladies and gentlemen, we must remember, because if we don't remember our past, we are doomed to repeat it. I want to tell you tonight that you have to beware of that she-wolf who is wearing Prada and Gucci. Beware of that she-wolf, as she will stop at nothing to devour any and everything in her path. The PNM could never be devoured. And let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, the Member of Parliament for Oropouche East did the whole country a favor when he taped his mouth in Parliament. Sometimes the words that come out of that man's mouth leave me to wonder. You remember who said, "Hush your stink mouth"? You remember that? You remember who was the person who put up a banner to tell people to hide their children from our political leader? To this day, we remain with our heads shaking that such a person is in the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago. No way. And ladies and gentlemen, we are the ones who have to protect our institutions. We are the ones who have to ensure that our institutions return to their pristine glory. We are the ones who have to ensure that our country is a country that is respected at all levels. So a tax on the Parliament, a tax on the judiciary, a tax on independent service commissions, a tax left, right, and center cannot be allowed to be condoned. A tax on attorneys at law, a tax on people who gave their lives for this country cannot be allowed to endure. And ladies and gentlemen, tonight I tell you, it is not only your members of Parliament who must speak. You must also speak, because as our chairman said, the PNM is a royal party. And people who belong to a royal party must speak on behalf of their party. Ladies and gentlemen, it is well known that our political leader is a man of integrity, a man of decency, a man of strength, and a man of great fortitude. And that is why the PNM, as it stands now and as it stood with the other political leaders who have led this venerable party, can boast with conviction and with truth that we are the only political party that can effectively govern the whole of Trinidad and Tobago. The PNM is the only party that the people of Trinidad and Tobago could have voted for to pull us back from the precipice we found ourselves heading over in 2015. In 2015 to 2016, we set about stopping the madness that passed for governance between 2010 and 2015. In 2016 and 2017, we set about stabilizing the economy. In 2017 and 2018, we began to see the first fruits of growth. In this year, 2018 and 2019, we are about delivering on several projects initiated in the previous years. And in 2019, 2020, the final year of our term, I give you the assurance that all the pieces will come together. That, ladies and gentlemen, is governance PNM style. And ladies and gentlemen, let me quote for you our Prime Minister on May 30th, 2017, at the Spotlight on Energy, and I quote, "Let us not turn away our face from the harsh realities of our circumstances, but confront them with boundless faith in our destiny as we chart and steer a course to a future which will be achieved only because we knew when to take up our bed and walk confidently into a brighter tomorrow." End of quote. Our political leader also said, not at that time, but earlier, people need to participate in the process. Cynicism has never generated a theory. Cynicism has never created an equation that worked. And ladies and gentlemen, as our local government elections draw closer, as we put out our candidates in the field, we cannot have apathy or cynicism. We have to have everybody on board and everybody working in the same direction and voting solidly for the People's National Movement. And ladies and gentlemen, as Dr. Williams said, the PNM is a rally of all and for all. And that is why do not forget 2010 to 2015. But remember with great admiration the period 2015 to 2020, because that period and other periods of PNM and government showed that great is the PNM. Great is the PNM. Great is the PNM. And we shall prevail. Thank you.